Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier and this is the Piracy Show. Now, on today's show, we're going to be dealing with a comment that was made on the last video, which is, there's really no money to be made in trading right now. Which really, there's not a lot of money to be made, but you can make money. If you are only worried about the expenses of, say, upgrading your character's weapons and armor, or maybe doing a few, upgrades to your ship. Like, for instance, my Caterpillar has the Revenant Gatlings on its turrets. But apart from that, I really haven't put that much into it. And I kind of visit this economy and make a little bit of money here and there, just hedging my bet on the whole money reset thing. But the amount of money that we make in Stanton right now for the economy that we have, for the depth that we have in the economy, is actually kind of sufficient. It's not that big a deal. Some people have made multiple millions off of this economy, but other players look at it and say, there's not that much money to be made trading. And what you have to realize is that it's deliberately like this. And it's probably going to stay this way. This is how CIG is going to differentiate risk and reward. And this is how CIG is also going to differentiate safe space versus unlawful, unregulated, dangerous space. Think about it. The economy that we have right now, what are we buying? We're buying raw materials. In this case, we're about to pick up a pinch of laranite, which is all this place has left, and then a whole bunch of diamonds. That's what we're going to buy here. And then we're going to take those diamonds out to Lorville, and we're going to sell those diamonds at Lorville. But apart from that, we don't interact with the economy beyond that. It's all just raw materials. There's very few manufactured goods apart from drugs, food, and distilled spirits. There's really nothing in terms of manufactured goods available in Star Citizen's economy. And so for a player who wanted a much safer experience, who didn't want to kind of deal with all the PvP and the marauders and all that, nonsense, then trading in Stanton is probably going to be this safe. You're probably going to be able to run a Caterpillar solo and maybe just stick a couple of NPCs in the turrets, though the expenses of paying those NPCs may kind of make that a little bit prohibitive. Maybe just man one turret and just get by and not be too worried about it. The truth of it is that Stanton is a very mundane and a very safe system. It is a lawful system. There is a criminal element here, but it's not dominant. And so there's not a lot of risk. And for players, you also have to run the risk. Like if you're a pirate, you don't want to go to prison. You don't want to put your character on cooldown and say, oh, well, see you tomorrow. You don't want to really do that. Whereas in a system like next door, Pyro, you're not running those risks because Pyro isn't a lawful system. It's the Wild West. You can do whatever you want there within reason. So what you're going to see, I think, in the economy and how the trading economy is going to change and when piracy is really going to kick off is, right now we have all the rudimentary pieces to make piracy work. We have hand tractor beams. We can steal cargo from other players' ships, but it's just not worth it. And the cargoes that players haul, even like here where I'm going to load up with, I think, about 350,000 credits worth of diamonds. It's, it's just really not worth it when you think about the expense of getting everybody organized, of then manually moving the crates over from one ship to another. All of that, even with a tractor beam, it's just not worth the time and the effort and the potential risk of going to prison and all that. Some players will argue that it is, but for a fun factor reason and not really for a financial reason, because when you try to black market these things, you're only going to get a fraction of their value. If you only get a fraction of the goods, that plus the crime stat and all that, is it really worth it? Not really. And this is what safe space is going to be. But in the future, we are going to move beyond these raw materials, really, and we're going to move into manufactured goods. Now, the example that I'm using here is that I'm picking up diamonds or eventually I'm going to buy diamonds, and I'm going to take these to Lorville, and I'm going to sell these diamonds to Hurston Heavy Industries, or whatever they're called, the people that run the planet Hurston and Lorville. Now, many of the people who are very familiar with trading in Star Citizen, those people who really kind of go gung-ho with trading, will know about Lorville. Lorville is the place where you take your certain raw materials and you sell them and you make your profit. Not as much profit as you would like, but the profit that is reasonable for the area that you're playing in. Because remember that Stanton really is just the starter area. This is the Tirisfal Glades of Star Citizen. This is out hunting skeletons for a few pieces of copper that you're going to use to get a slightly better dagger or something like that. This isn't meant to be the end game. This is just the starter area. You think about the economy. What are we doing? We're bringing diamonds into Hurston Dynamics, into Lorville. What does Hurston Dynamics do? They make weapons. But when you go in here and you open up the buy menu, there's no weapons there. Because that portion of the economy really hasn't opened up yet. We're just dealing with raw materials. We've still got our training wheels on. At some point, Hurston is going to sell, like, let's say, crates of laser pistols. Just pulling something out of thin air there. Whatever weapons they make, you buy crates and crates of them. Well, in a star system like Stanton, where Hurston is, based, where this huge factory is, there probably isn't going to be all that much in terms of profit margin on those laser pistols. You're going to look around and you're like, well, everyone's like, dude, Hurston, I don't need to buy it from you for this price. Hurston's just right over there. I can quantum there in 15 minutes and buy everything I need for a fraction of what you're trying to charge me. There's not going to be that much profit margin for laser pistols in Stanton. But we are going to open up to Pyro at some time, hopefully in the near future. And in Pyro, Hurston doesn't exist. It's a lawless system. It's the Wild West, and there's probably going to be a hell of a lot of demand for weapons in a system like that. But there isn't the infrastructure to build them at the capacity that Hurston Industries can. So chances are those laser pistols aren't going to be worth all that much here in Stanton, but in Pyro, they could be worth a fortune. And also remember that, the value of raw materials versus the value of the manufactured goods can vary widely. And chances are, like, a crate of laser pistols that occupies one SCU, if you think about just the weapons that you buy in game, let's say there's 50 pistols in there at about what, 3K a piece, maybe a little bit less. Maybe you get them for about 500 credits a piece, but you put 50 of those things in there, all of a sudden that one SCU of space becomes infinitely more valuable on your ship than what it currently was when you were trading diamonds or laranite or whatever. All of a sudden the value of that cargo and the value of your ship increases exponentially in terms of not only just like your personal potential for financial reward, but your potential reward as a target of pirates, especially if you're moving it over to a place like Pyro, where maybe they don't have to worry so much about black marketing things and where the goods came from. Maybe they aren't asking that many questions over there. It's an entire star system that's kind of like Grim Hex. Think of it that way. So, like, the economy being the way that it is right now, it's intentional. It's because we're trading in as raw materials, and raw materials aren't worth as much as the manufactured goods, but the manufactured goods are something that we currently don't have access to. And even if we did, the margins of trying to sell something where it's manufactured are probably not going to be all that good. But in a system where they aren't manufactured, around another or a totally different star, that's actually going to be probably very lucrative. And you're going to see the value of, like, let's say I have 350,000 credits worth of diamonds on my ship right now, and people are like, ooh, that's a fair chunk of credits. Well, not a lot of, some people will think that, other people will be like, that's nothing. But in the future, this could easily be 20 million or 30 million UEC worth of weapons and pyro if I can get it to the location where I'm trying to deliver it to. And I think that is really kind of when we get access to those manufactured goods and we start getting access to other star systems, which hopefully in the not too distant future, that is going to be something that's going to open up, you're really going to see a big bloom in terms of not only the potential rewards for someone operating a ship like this that justify things like crew, equipment, fuel, and all this stuff like that, where you might actually start thinking about, I have to really invest serious money into my ship to make these cargo runs work. But you're also going to become that much more of an attractive target to pirates out there in the Star Citizen universe. And that's probably also where CIG is going to divide that line between, well, you know what, if you want more of a safe experience, keep trading raw materials in Stanton. You're probably not going to run into all that many problems, and the greatest threat to you is probably just going to be the dreaded 30K. But if you want to make the real money, the big money, well, you're going to have to open a different door.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.